Welcome, folks. I'm Jaby, Koay, joined by ACHARA, KIRK.
Hi.
We're looking at Emergency Awesomes, Eternal Trailers, Marvel Celestials, and Avengers Endgame Connection Explained. I am very, very excited about Eternals, all things Eternals, all things Marvel in general, but Eternals especially has me stoked. We have a trailer reaction out for you guys that's available to watch on 2 channels. Anyway, Marvel Celestials and Avengers Endgame Connection. So we always love to learn more and more, so we're less noobicious. That was my fancy way of saying noob. Anyway, Emergency Awesome, thanks so much for allowing us to react to this. Very, very much appreciate it. Y'all, if you could vote this video up, that would be awesome. That would be Emergency Awesome. Because it lets YouTube know that you like what you're watching. Here we go.
Welcome back, everyone. Big surprise, Marvel dropped a new Eternals trailer at midnight last night. It's been a while since anyone's done that, so we'll break it down. This is gonna be my quick reaction video. I will make some bigger, longer videos soon about some of the bigger Easter eggs here and what's going on with the Celestials, the Deviants, and the Eternals characters. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. The big thing here is they want to give you the actual story, and I think I talked a little bit about this in my last trailer video, but they actually show you the Celestials. That's probably one of the biggest things here, is revealing what they're going to look like in the film.
Yeah.
And they make a really big deal about explaining why they didn't help out with Avengers Endgame. Probably the biggest question that people had since the movie was announced. If they're so powerful, why didn't they help? And they use Kit Harington's Black Knight character to do that. They justify it by saying they weren't supposed to interfere in the affairs of man. The funny thing that they don't address during this, though, is that Thanos is an Eternal from Titan, and he does carry the Deviant gene.
That has been mentioned so many times in the comments. They're like, wait a second. If they're not supposed to interfere until a Deviant gets involved, isn't Thanos a Deviant? Like, why wouldn't they get involved? Someone was saying, like, because, sometimes I get a lot of knowledge from the comments.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So, someone was saying that they didn't follow the comics verbatim, meaning maybe for the films they changed it up where Thanos is not necessarily a deviant.
Right. I mean, I thought he was something like kind of connected to the Eternals, like he's descended from a celestial, right?
Exactly.
Or something.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit noobish myself, but yeah, that is a good question.
So technically a Deviant or someone with the Deviant gene was attacking humanity in the rest of the universe. There'll be so many comments about that when the movie comes out, and I'm sure they'll have some moment in the movie that will address that even more, because they do talk about the snaps in the blip. But they give you the ticking clock here, 7 days till the end of the Earth in the emergence. What they're talking about is the emergence of the next Celestial. There's a Celestial growing inside planet Earth, and Celestials are massive, massive beings. So if you've ever watched a chicken hatch out of an egg, it's gonna be kind of like that in 7 days. Kaboom, goodbye Earth, next big disaster right after Avengers Endgame. Just one disaster right after the other.
Yeah.
Tony Stark is rolling in his grave right now. What Salma Hayek's Ajax character is talking about, though, is the blip.
Hold on. So, real quick, just a question for you guys who are way more knowledgeable on Marvel than we are. The thing that he just mentioned about the
emergence.
Yeah. Is that at all related to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 with Kurt Russell's character, Ego? Because there was something like that in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 where he basically was taking over planets. He like planted these seeds and they was, you know.
Right. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched the second Guardians film, so like I can't even remember.
Well,
but
it's more of a question to the audience to just like educate me.
She's talking about the Hulk snap, bringing everyone back, releasing enough cosmic energy to accelerate the growth of this Celestial inside Earth. They give you the flashback PowerPoint presentation. This is a Celestial being born, but obviously this is all out of sync in the timeline. Like the meteorite that seems like it's crashing to Earth sounds like it was the original Celestial egg seeding itself in the planet. The people that would have done that would have been—
Really? Hold on a second.
Like it was the original Celestial—
I just want to see something. Because there's like houses and stuff, no? Am I crazy?
Timeline. Like the meteorite that seems like it's crashing to Earth sounds like it was the original Celestial—
Right there on the side. Is that?
I mean, this is just the trailer, right? Like he's just trying to pull image to support what he's talking about.
No, but he's saying that this right here is the original. I don't know. Okay,
no, like
maybe I'm
he's saying that the moment when the meteor drops on the Earth is the moment when they seeded the Earth with the egg.
It's not related?
I don't know if it's related. I don't know if the people who cut the trailer together put this moment and it's like chronological, or if it's just images to kind of make you excited about the movie.
I see.
Celestial egg seeding itself in the planet. The people that would have done that would have been the Celestial host. So this giant red Celestial that Cersei says is the one that told them not to interfere in the affairs of man. Nope, don't help out during any of the wars. Don't save the Earth from Thanos. That's Arishem the Judge. He's the leader of the Celestial host. The green one later that you see wielding its cosmic energy, seeming like it's creating something, is Jemiah the Analyzer. I talked about this during my What If video last night, the What If Episode 2 video. A lot of people think that he is actually Nowhere. So Nowhere is the head of a dead Celestial.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they pay that Easter egg off during the movie. That would be really cool. The way Cersei is explaining it to Dane Whitman's character, Kit Harington's Black Knight character, is that they were supposed to come to Earth 7,000 years ago to protect the humans from the Deviants. That, I think, is a bit of a lie of omission, because really they're there to guard the growing celestial egg. That's this giant structure that you see Cersei touching as it lights up with energy. Connecting this to Black Panther and vibranium, because they make that vibranium joke at the end of the trailer. In the comics in the past, characters have speculated that the vibranium mound was actually intended for the creation of a new celestial body. You have to imagine one of these giant celestials just sort of reaching over into Wakanda saying, you know what, I'm just going to take that, yoink, and just rip it right out of the ground. When they're sitting around in the circle here, all wearing the same clothing, I believe this is them reincarnating. This is celestial energy coming into their bodies. The red statue is meant to be a representation of Arishem the Judge. Eternals characters can be killed just like anybody else, but they are super strong. Like, they all have bodies that live for very long periods of time unless someone kills them. But the reason why they're eternal really is because they reincarnate into new bodies. As she narrates, you see them attacking some of the Deviants. This seems like it's when they first come to planet Earth, like they're all standing in formation like the Power Rangers. We are here amongst you to protect you, even though we have a totally secret mission we're not going to tell you about. The other Deviant that you see later in the trailer talking sounds like it's going to be Crow, who in the comics, I believe, has a secret relationship with Thena. I believe the idea
I was wondering about that, because just the way that he was holding her and then touching her face, I was like, I didn't say it when we were looking at the trailer, but I was feeling like, oh my God, I'm getting some sort of like sexy vibes going on here. Like, what's going on?
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe she didn't want the, affection. That's what it looked like to me. Like, she's like, oh, don't do that, you're grody. I thought that's what was happening. I didn't realize.
Well, maybe, yeah, definitely she was just kind of like turning away, but they obviously have a relationship, right? Like, the way he's touching her, I don't know.
It's not obvious to me. It looked like he's just a grody melody, and he's like, ooh, you're pretty, and she's like, oh God, don't do that. No, okay, maybe a little, but no. Like,
she looked way chill though for someone who's, having her face caressed by Crow.
Because she's an Eternal. She's like, I got this shit.
She's like, I'm chill. I'm just waiting for an opportunity, and then I'm gonna cut you apart.
Yeah, I'm gonna do like Home Alone and kick you in the nuts, and then run, and a paint can's gonna fly in your face.
In the movie, though, is that the Celestials created them to protect the life that they were seeding around the universe, and then eventually they just went off the rails and went rogue. So then the backup was for the Celestials to create the Eternals to take care of their big mistake with the Deviants. Hopefully they'll also reference the cosmic hierarchy of the MCU or the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, because we have Loki, the Multiverse War, He Who Remains now, but the way it sounds like this plays out in the timeline of the MCU after Avengers Endgame, it sounds like all this stuff happens this 7-day period before the end of the Loki finale. Even though when you start talking about time travel, the multiverse, it gets a little crazy. I think they just want to keep this movie as simple as possible because they're introducing so many new characters. So He Who Remains would know about what's going on here, but for the sake of simplicity, I would just treat the Loki finale with the true version of the multiverse. The Kang variants sort of manifesting is happening after the events of the Eternals movie. You see, all of them use their powers just a little bit. They all have slightly different powers, like Phastos, for instance, is the inspiration for the Greek god Hephaestus. He makes things. That's why Richard Madden's Icarus character is like, oh, this is a perfect shelter you've built here. I bet this is built out of vibranium, as he smashes his table. Nope, that one's IKEA. All of them wield the same celestial energy that the Celestials themselves wield, which is why all their powers are color-coded the same, even though they manifest in slightly different ways. Like Angelina Jolie's character uses celestial energy to fashion weapons. So really the stakes of the movie are that they have to find a way to either stop this celestial egg from hatching, or to find a way to hatch it and not destroy the Earth in the process. And also stop the celestial host from coming back to planet Earth and wiping it out. When the Collector was explaining the history of the universe, the Infinity Stones, and you see Eson the Searcher using the Power Stone to wipe out a planet, I'm also wondering if they're going to connect that to what's happening in this movie. The Celestials are kind of like cosmic gardeners. They go around seeding life on planets, and when an experiment doesn't work out, they'll just wipe it out and start over again. But also the way they explain it in this movie, the Celestial that's growing inside Earth needs cosmic energy, so I'm also wondering if they'll try to connect it to that Guardians of the Galaxy Eson the Searcher moment with him using the Power Stone on that planet, seeming like he's wiping it out, but maybe really he was just trying to unleash cosmic energy to grow another Celestial and hatch it in that planet. I did a big video about Kit Harington's Black Knight character and where he sort of fits into the MCU, what his history is, so I'll link that below in the description. But I think the big thing in this movie is that he's sort of the point of view character, learning about the Eternals for the first time, and he's sort of an audience surrogate. Like, who are you? What are you doing here? Why haven't you helped us in the past? Why didn't you stop Thanos? Even though he's kind of your cousin, because this giant red celestial told us he would squish us like bugs if we did anything. I believe the idea is that Dane Whitman's character won't actually become full-blown Black Knight till the sequels or other Marvel movies because he is supposed to cross over into Avengers 5 with Cersei's character. But I think the idea is that they'll tease his origin towards the end of this movie. Like he'll learn about the Ebony Blade, the curse of his family, but I'm not expecting him to fully wear the armor until whatever the future sequels wind up being. But in the way they reference the Avengers in the last trailer, they're referencing the Black Panther characters, Vibranium in this trailer. They're sort of connecting it to the other Marvel movies. You sort of find out where they've been this whole time and how they were watching all the events of the MCU movies unfold. I know there's going to be a lot of timeline questions too. You also have to remember that the events of WandaVision take place many weeks after the end of Avengers Endgame, so I'm also assuming that WandaVision, the Hex, and Scarlet Witch becoming full-blown Scarlet Witch doesn't happen till after the events of the Eternals movie. But
I'm a little bit like perplexed about the Eternals just watching everything go down. In Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad film, you know, like how the mission was over and Viola Davis is like, okay, come back, just like abandon.
Yeah, abort the mission.
Abort mission. Idris Elba's like, no, we're doing this. And then him and the team go and fight anyway. Yeah. Despite the fact that they were explicitly told not to. That's typically what you would do with your heroes. It's like, yes, even though they're going to disobey orders, even though they were told not to do that because it's the right thing to do, is to step in and fight for good. These Eternals are just watching this shit go down. This battle, I mean, obviously it all worked out.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but
we lost a good man in the process.
Exactly. Like, there's a lot of explaining that they're gonna have to do because it does, like you say, it does seem like kind of unplausible. But if you are perhaps like a celestial being or a god, then I feel like there is a certain level of detachment where
indifference?
I don't know if it's indifference, but it's less emotional perhaps, where you're watching your experiment go on. But that doesn't seem to match with what Angelina Jolie's character was saying, where she's like, you know, you protect what you love. It's like, okay, if you loved everyone, then why didn't you protect them sooner? So they better have some really good answers. The thing that's just kind of like making me lose my mind a little bit is just the whole timeline thing. Like, if I think about it too hard, I feel like my brain is going to stop working and it's going to explode.
But they've been doing that for a while.
I know, but it's just frustrating because I'm like, why are you releasing these in this like random haphazard order? It's hurting my head.
No, they have to do it like that because of Revelation. It's the hierarchy of what is most interesting. And so you have to kind of peel back the layer in order to acclimate the audience. So you go, okay, here's this one level. Okay, here's this next level. And you peel back another layer and another layer. Because if you started with the Eternals, it's like, well, that's not the interesting place to start. The interesting place to start is on the ground with the battle.
Sure,
and
then like gradually revealing that there are like higher levels and higher levels and higher levels. Ad infinitum.
That sometimes necessitates going back and forth in the timeline. You know?
I guess so. I'm just a little bit frustrated because there's someone I know who's just about to start watching all of the MCU films, and she was asking, do I watch them in the order that they're released or in the order of the timeline?
You watch them in the order of phases, in the order that they're released. Okay. Because if you watch them out of that order, you're going to find out things. It's going to have
too soon. Yeah, that's kind of what she was saying. But for me personally, I'm kind of like, I almost like would want to know. I don't know what's the best way. Anyway, that's a whole different conversation. But it was just kind of just giving me a little niggle watching this, just going, I
get where you're coming from, but I think they're doing a pretty good job of not making it too confusing. I know that in this video where he's summarizing all this stuff, it feels like a lot to take in, but when you're looking at it on the grand scale, it's not that confusing.
Yeah, no, I mean, they do a good job with the stories and stuff. Like, when I'm watching it, I'm not thinking too hard about where it falls in the timeline. Right. I'm just kind of going, what's the story here? Yeah. You know, what's going on? What is their mission?
Yeah, exactly.
And all of that. So it's just like when you get into the nitty gritty of it in a breakdown video like this, my brain cells start to fry.
I don't know any other way that they can do a thing like this. It's going from way before up to present and maybe even into the future a little bit. I think this is super exciting. Even watching the visuals back again, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited for Eternals. I really, really hope that it's awesome. Yeah. I mean, because everyone in the comments is like, oh my God, it looks amazing. And I go, okay, I hope it pays off. I really hope it pays off because I'm so stoked for just the concepts that they're exploring and some of the ideas that they're showing here with how the superpowers work and whatnot. I'm just like, I'm so happy. Anyway, let's see what else he says here.
Eternals movie. But I think it's pretty easy to make the assumption that they do save the planet because none of the other Marvel characters in those projects were addressing a giant celestial shooting straight up out of the planet. So what'll happen is I'll post my full breakdown video later today. If you have any big questions about the movie, what's going on with the characters, just write them below in the comments and I'll include it in that full breakdown video.
The thing about it is, there is often instances where something is going on elsewhere on Earth and the Avengers don't come.
Yeah, that's true.
This was a problem that was first introduced in Iron Man 3, I believe. I can't remember what it was because it's been so long since I've watched Iron Man 3. I saw it once in theaters. But it was just kind of odd. That's like, you have this thing that's like of epic proportions, potentially the end of the world or whatever it was, and no one's helping out Tony Stark. He's just got this. Or in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there's this epic thing happening and no one else is coming to assist.
It's like, yo, Doctor Strange and Wong are literally like right there.
The thing about it is, when it's convenient for the plot, you don't include that stuff. It's almost like it's almost like a fantasy movie or a fantasy book. It's like whatever is needed to make the plot function, that's what's going to happen.
I almost wanted it to be like Doctor Strange and Wong show up in the Falcon show, and then they're like, oh, excuse me, it's not my movie, let me bow out. You know, that's kind of what it feels like. It's like, oh, sorry for interrupting. I wasn't invited to this party. I'll just leave.
The thing that you have to accept is that it's a comic book soap opera.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can accept that, then everything makes way more sense in terms of people not showing up.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to ask the questions, but we all know why. It's not their movie. This is the Eternals movie, so it's going to be all about them and everything related to them.
This movie has... Just like with Shang-Chi, like this movie has a heavy hand that it's lifting. That's a weird way to phrase it, isn't it? What I'm saying is it's got a lot to cover. There's a lot of explaining to do. Like he's like Emergency Awesome is saying, oh, well, they probably want to keep this simple. It's like, yeah, but no. There is a lot of ground to cover here and a lot of explaining to do, in my opinion. Maybe they'll pull a final episode of Breaking Bad and it's like, oh, that wasn't that complicated after all. I guess it worked out. It might be that clever, but I feel like there's just so much to you know, because it's like, okay, where do these people come from? What is the point? Why are the Celestials saying you can't do this? One of the things that they showed here I forgot about was that they showed a Celestial before in Guardians of the Galaxy. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
People were pointing that out in the comments, and I was like, oh, it's been a long time. So,
but like a lot of that stuff when it's happening and you're watching the film, it's a lot of exposition.
Yeah.
And you're paying more attention to the characters that you know.
We are. Because we are not as familiar, but anyone who reads the comics is like, oh my God, that's a huge Easter egg right there. They just showed a Celestial. You know what I mean?
Right,
but now it's being emphasized more. Anyway, we can go on all day about how much we don't know. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. And do subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon, all notifications, and make sure to subscribe to Emergency Awesome. There's a link in the description below. You can give the original video an upvote and let them know that Jaby sent you. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.